Action takers are money makers.
Yeah.
And money makers are action takers. We were not able to scale because of my own limiting beliefs. Okay, that negative ego that you have, that you can do everything. I could see that in my early childhood days. I was always programmed that you are a good boy if you don't ask. Okay, if you are passive, if you just accept things as they are, you're a good boy. Once my day is completed on paper, that's when it becomes more possible.
Okay, so today we interview Darshan Chavan, amazing young entrepreneur, moved to Australia in his early 20s and built an amazing company, right? Voted top 50 fastest growing companies in Australia. He's also a TEDx speaker, which is amazing. CEO, founder, young entrepreneur, right? We talk about how to scale a business. It's the epicenter of what he's focused on. So everything from systems, culture, people, talent, and execution. We talk a lot about execution. So look, sit back, relax, grab yourself a coffee, and enjoy a conversation with Darshan. But where I'd like to start is your background, your history. I did a bit of research on you actually in the past few days, and I watched your TEDx talk, which was great. And I love the story about the father and the two sons.
Yes.
And how collaborating, working together is much better than working anonymously or by yourself, right? Which is great. And I had a look at some of your companies. But sort of give us a bit of a synopsis about the companies that you're currently operating, what your role is. And I'd really love to know how this TEDx thing comes around, because it's quite difficult to get invited to do that, right? I would think, yeah. So a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so Lawrence, I think so it's been almost 11 years now since I came to Australia. So I came to Australia in July 2013, all right, as an international student to do my master's in Monash University. And since the time I just came to Australia, I wanted to start a business. Okay.
Were you doing a master's in business?
No, I did a master's in IT, to be honest with you. But I was not interested in studies at all. Okay, because long time back, I got to know that with formal education, you'll only make a living, whereas with self-education, you can make a fortune. So I was after fortune, not just to make a living. Yeah. And when I started my studies, I could clearly see that I was not much inclined towards that. And I wanted to start a business from day one. But in business, you need to have some really good skills. And the most important skill is to your ability to sell. And that's when I started, doing my door-to-door sales. And I was selling Telstar door-to-door for almost 2 years.
Really?
And that was one of the best journeys I've had in my life, because it really helped me build some amazing foundation in business, like resilience, how to handle customers, how to go through rejection, how to go through failure.
Is that because it's so difficult? Is that because you're knocking on doors, right? And there's no appointments. And you're trying to sell them a phone plan or a product, right?
Yeah, and it's a straight commission selling as well. Yeah. There's no base wage, nothing as such. You make a sale, you get to eat. If you don't make a sale, you don't get to eat.
So how old were you when you were doing that?
I was around 25, I guess. Yeah. Wow. 10 years ago, I'm 35 now. Yeah. So it was so much fun.
It's not that long ago when you think about it.
Yeah, if you look at it, And as they say, sometimes you can do so much more in a decade than compared to in 1 year. It's so true. Yeah,
well, what's the saying, right? People underestimate what you can do in a year. Overestimate what you can do a year and underestimate what you can do in 10.
Absolutely.
All right, so... Yeah, cool, right? So door-to-door sales. Yeah. Man, the thing about entrepreneurs, right, is most of them have come from a sales background, I notice.
100%.
Why is that, right? Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think so. For me, where I learned it was from Robert Kiyosaki, as everyone would have started their journey through Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah. And that's when he really shared his journey as how he was a door-to-door person for Xerox. Okay, and he was trying to sell their copy machines and everything. Yeah. And what common pattern I can see is why entrepreneurs start in selling is because that's the basis of everything. Yeah. When you start, you're the first salesperson in your company. Okay. Yeah. And later on as well, when the company starts progressing, you start selling to your team members the vision, what needs to happen. And I think so. You can never get rid of sales as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, because that is the core basic skills. And that's where you get to learn how to get rejected, how to fail, how to really 100%. Care about your customers and all those things.
Yeah. Sales is tough, right? It certainly teaches you resilience.
Big time.
I've done the phone call stuff and the door-to-door stuff as well. And I found it very difficult at the start. But if you just keep going, you become very strong, very fast. Right? You sort of have to, right? Otherwise, you're right. Otherwise, you just have to quit and go do something else.
Yeah, the biggest one I've seen, the reason why I see a common pattern in sales and one of the biggest entrepreneurs is the persistence one.
Yeah.
Okay, most people who even get started in sales, 70% of them quit.
Yeah.
The 30% who stay there are the ones who go on to make a really big impact, big income. And those 30% also go on to start their own businesses because they learn the skill of persistence and persevering and really bouncing back from adversities.
And they're all a little bit nuts. Come on, let's face it.
We all are.
I think the best sales guy are all they're a bit crazy. Some of those guys, right?
They're always on the spectrum. Sometimes.
Man, always on the spectrum, right? So there's a lot of psychology wrapped up in that, right? True. Okay, so you're knocking on doors for Telstra.
Yeah.
You know, getting told to fuck off every 5 minutes, getting slammed in your face. So you did that for 2 years. What happened after that?
After that, it was such an amazing coincidence because from the time I came to Australia, I wanted to go and attend a Tony Robbins seminar. Okay, that was like my bucket list. Especially walking on the fire, unleash the power within. And I just signed up for it. And I was sitting over there and listening Tony speak. And there was a guy sitting next to me. His name is Regin. He's my business partner. And we started discussing. We started having a chat, and then we thought
you guys didn't know each other then.
We knew a little bit, right, but not too much. We knew about a few projects that we were doing together, but it was such an accident that we both were there in the seminar at the same time. Okay, that's when we decided that we have similar values, similar goals. And especially if you have walked on fire together, you can do business together.
No, I get it. Was it hot?
It was, but I've walked it so many times now. I've done Unleash the Power Within at least 7 times till now. Yeah, but because every time you go there, you are a different person and you're facing different challenges. You have different goals. So, and as they say, repetition is the mother of mastery. The more you do, the more it becomes a vital part of you.
It's super interesting with you, right? There's something I notice is that if I go to an event, right, in this city, I normally see you guys there, and I don't go to very many events, but I want to dig into that a bit later. Okay, cool. So you go to this event.
Yes.
It probably unpacks something for you, right? You go, hey, I'm going to start my own company. What was the first company?
The first company is Get My Course.
Yep.
All right. That's the first company that we started with. And even over there, we were selling door to door, childcare courses, aged care courses, disability courses.
Okay. Yeah. So you had a team out on the road?
No, it was just us.
Oh, really?
Me and Regin.
We just were two of you?
Yeah, 2 of us, the first salespeople in our company.
Wow.
Because we always knew that we had to lead by example. That's when your team gets the conviction and the belief that they can do it as well. And every time we used to get a sale and we used to have a file filled out, it would just give us that energy that we can do something bigger. Okay. And even that's true even to this day. Even when some of our salespeople are struggling, we would be the first people on the phone. All right, making calls and making sure that we are able to grow the business.
Do you still make sales calls?
I love it every single day. Yeah, not every single day, but I would still love it as much as whenever I get a chance. Even when I jump on people with a Zoom call, I try to make sure I really understand the pain point, what exactly is driving them, so that I can really help them.
Yeah. It's super interesting, man. I have this urge to get on the phone to do a sales call.
Yeah.
I haven't done it for so long, all right? And we have a startup business. It's a consultancy licensing business. And I think it's got so much potential. But to really understand the business, if I got on the phone and spoke to the customer, it's probably how I can help the business the most, is by understanding who the customer is, right? Do you think you're a natural sales guy, or did you have to learn it?
Oh, that's an awesome question, Lawrence. I'll tell you my journey about it. Okay, because for me, I don't think so. I was natural at anything other than just being lazy and easing around.
Lazy, really?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I started. Even during my early days, all right, I was a complete bum. Okay, I didn't know anything how to succeed, what to do, nothing at all. But thank goodness I bumped into personal development. All right. That's when my
How did that happen though? Was that like a book? Was that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting story. I'm happy to share that with you.
Let's talk about it.
Way back in 2010, that was when I was in India at that time. I was still doing a few things with computers, like, installing softwares, like installing hardwares, troubleshooting a few software systems. Okay. And I was downloading some pirated softwares and all those things. And
that might be slightly illegal, but sure.
Yeah, exactly. While you are in your early years, you start doing that.
Yeah, I get
okay.
it.
And on a particular website, I saw a video by a very old guy, which had a particular hook called as 10 keys to succeeding in your life.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this old guy? And it had written as Brian Tracy.
Ah, Brian Tracy. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me see what's going to happen. Let me just watch it and start listening to it.
Yeah.
And that was the day when I had like a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Okay. It was like opening a box of Pandora.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was like just a deep tunnel.
Yeah.
And that's when I started becoming really an voracious reader, listening to a lot of seminars
can I just,
and everything.
Sorry to interrupt, but can I just ask you this question? But what was the trigger point though? Like what was the data set where you because you must have realized something must have triggered inside your brain to go, oh, I can do this and end up here.
Yep.
And I know you say Brian Tracy, I get it, that's cool. But what was it that he said to you? Like, was it a statement? Or was it a belief that you just realized?
I think it was for me more of a statement, okay? And what he said over there was, your grades in your school have no relation to the success in your life.
Ah, that's it. Okay. That's the trigger.
Yeah, because for me, I was so much hardened to believe that because I was a failure in school, I was a failure in college, I could never succeed in life. And I can still see so many people still have that belief. Even it's been 20 years since they graduated their college. Only because they failed in their school or college, they still believe they can't succeed in their life. But when I really listened to that, there was that light bulb moment. Okay, I'm like, wow. So is this really true that even though my past has been such a disastrous with studies, I can still succeed?
Yeah, super interesting.
Let's do that.
So that was the hook, right?
Absolutely.
That just resonated. I think there's one thing that resonates with people and it just gets them. And then what they do is they go deeper. That's the trigger that forces them to go deeper. That's cool, Brian Tracy. Yeah. Old school, man.
Absolutely.
Super old school.
He's so good because most of his things, what he shares, is pretty simple.
Yeah.
And you can relate to it and you can start executing on it.
I know all those guys like Ed Mylett, Cardone, even Vaynerchuk to a point. All those guys grew up on Brian Tracy.
Yeah. He's the OG.
Yeah, he is. Cool. All right. So you got Get My Course. You're door knocking. You had your trigger point to go, hey, I want to go work for myself. I want to be a business owner. You probably did you think, I want to make $100 million, or did you just say to yourself, hey, you know what? I just want to start my own business, work for myself, and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah, for me, it was just like, let me start my business, all right? And then I'll still work it out and see what's going to happen. But the biggest challenge, what happened was, Lawrence, we were not able to scale because of my own limiting beliefs. Okay, that negative ego that you have, that you can do everything. Okay, especially when you come from a sales background, you know that you can get sales. All right, you are a Superman. You can do most of the stuff. Okay, and this was the thing that was the basis for my TEDx talk as well. Because as they say, your biggest mess can become your biggest message. And I was so hardened that I could not delegate. All right. And I could not hire people.
Is that because you thought no one could do it as good as you?
In a way, yes, as well, because I could see that, okay, and this is also hard for people to learn. And this is a very important skill set that only I can do. And I can't know how people could do it to the same perfection level that I could do it. And those were the main struggles which I was happening in the initial days of the business.
I think that's super common though, right?
Yes.
I think I went through that many years ago. It was, well, no one can do it as good as I can, so I'm just going to do it. But you can't scale a business on that. That theory does not work. Okay, so what else was there though? So you probably thought, oh, look, I can do this. I'll just do it. So what you're saying is I had to realize I had to give responsibility to other people to do stuff, right?
Yep.
Because you're probably in the trench. You can't grow a business in the trenches, right? It's too difficult.
Absolutely not.
So you started employing staff. You must have.
Yeah, 100%. We started employing staff. We started working together with them. And the main challenge was I could not ask much for the help. But when I went a bit more deeper, okay, why is this that I'm not able to ask for help? All right. And help, delegate work as well. I could see that in my early childhood days, I was always programmed that you are a good boy if you don't ask. Okay. If you are passive, if you just accept things as they are, you're a good boy. Whereas if you start asking things, you're someone who's trying to be bossy. And other things. So there was a bit of a negative correlation to asking. Okay.
Is that is that social that came from your parents? Was that a narrative from them?
Usually both from my parents, my grandparents, and other people as well. Because as kids, they don't want you to keep asking for toys, keep asking for chocolates and other things. And they want you to mellow down as much as possible.
Yeah. My father used to say to me, just stay under the radar, son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what he used to say to me. That was such bullshit. But they only know what they know, right?
True, exactly.
So, hey, can I just pivot slightly with your parents? So you moved here with your family or no, just on your own?
Just my own,
I love
by
that.
myself.
Yeah, I love that. Just by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just said to Rory, I moved here when I was young with a pillowcase full of oranges.
There you go.
Okay, so your parents are still in India? Is that right?
My parents are still in India.
I just want to ask, your relationship with them, what's it like?
Yeah, I love my parents because they've been the best ones.
Yep.
Especially they're the ones who supported me through their journey.
Yeah.
And even when I came here, how it works out is as an international student, you don't get HECS, you don't get any funding.
Correct.
So they had to mortgage their house, to send me to Australia. But to be honest with you, that was my biggest drive and motivation to succeed in the first 2 years of my life in my door-to-door sales career as well. And I so clearly, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
They came during my graduation time when I was about to graduate from university.
Yeah.
And we just had around $20,000 still remaining with the bank. So that they can go and release their papers. And that really motivated me a lot to succeed in sales, go through the rejections. And while a day before they were about to board their flight back to India, I can see it so clearly. I gave my mom $10,000, my dad $10,000, and told them, this is the time. Go to the bank, pay this money, get those documents back from your house. And I can't tell you what an amazing feeling that was, that, wow. We're doing something really well.
Yeah, that's super, super great, man. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. But they put everything on the line for you.
Yeah.
They must have had a lot of faith in you.
True.
Siblings?
Yeah, I have one brother.
Yeah. In Australia or?
No, back in India as well.
Close?
Yeah, he's pretty close.
Older, younger?
He's 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And he has his own digital marketing agency.
So he's an entrepreneur as well, hey?
Yeah.
Hey. You started something. Hey, that's cool. Yeah. I love that. All right, so I want to jump back to the future. So you've got Get My Course. You found out this is the pathway for me. You're having some success. Now you're starting to employ people, right? Did you set up another business on the side?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet.
Yeah,
so you're just running through that business now. You're trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
Give me 2 or 3 things that you found very difficult with establishing that business as you're trying to get out of the trenches. I think lots of young guys, they just don't know how to get out, right? So they stay in that. I just know someone who's just about to close their business down because they couldn't get out of it. They just got stuck in it, because they couldn't let go of the reins. What you said. So talk to me about how you did that, how that came about, and what are the steps you walked through to achieve that?
For me, biggest thing is, Lawrence, I could see that if for me to go from one stage of the business to the next stage of the business, the only gap which I had to fill in was the skills. And very clearly I could see that the most important skills that are required to succeed in business, the first and foremost was sales. Because if you can't sell, nothing much happens. And right after that, most people get stuck in the first one. They are very good in selling, but they're not able to replicate it to their team members and build a sales team. The second one that really gives you the scalability is marketing. This is another skill which I had to learn over time, that just sales can't help you build a big business. You need to know how do you scale it? How do you make it bigger? And the thing that can help you over there is marketing.
So specifically to generating leads for the business to sell.
Absolutely. Generating the leads, generating the offer. How do you make sure you build a brand as well so that people are able to trust your company and other things? Because what I've seen is sales and marketing give you the money freedom, but the next skill is leadership and team building. This is exactly what gives you the time freedom as well. So this is what I've been doing in the last 3 to 4 years, trying to hone my leadership and team building skills as much as possible. And once we are getting better in leadership and team building, the next skill that we got to be really good at is recruiting A players. All right, hiring A players. How do we start selling the vision of the company? Why is this the best place for anyone to come and work over here? So the more I started working on these 4 skills, we were able to take the business to one level and above.
Yeah, recruitment's so challenging, right? It's such a hard thing. I always say in this company, we're not hiring staff, we're seeking talent.
True.
How do you go about seeking talent for your business? Like, do you know how to identify that and what that looks like?
Yeah.
In an individual?
For me, it all started when I heard the story of Microsoft versus Google.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this started in the early 2000s, where Microsoft was still really good in providing some facilities, some offers for its team members.
Yep.
Okay. Google was doing something similar, but one thing that had a difference with Google was Google was pretty good in marketing it to other people as well. So what Google used to do was they used to call a lot of reporters to their workplace and show them the free meals people are getting, the pool tables that they have, everything. So what Google did was they were marketing it really well. What's in it for the company, for A players. So once I understood this particular aspect, what we did was we went and created a sales page just for recruiting. Okay, what are our highest values? And what are the different fun things people are having?
Like a landing page.
Exactly, a massive landing page. And we also started interviewing and getting testimonials from top performers in our company. And we started running ads to that. We started putting them on the landing page, and we were able to really attract some amazing talent people. And over the period of time, right now, what we have done is we have profiled our top and highest performers. And when we profile these top 10% of our performers, we know what profiling they come to. And it has made our recruiting so much more easier these days now.
Talk to me about, hey, I want to dig deep on sales a little bit. You seem to have some really deep knowledge about selling, right? And I think there's one thing that I know about young entrepreneurs is they don't know how to build a sales team. Man, it's their Achilles heel, right? They just can't get their head around it. I don't want to go into commissions and all that sort of stuff, but so you got leads coming into your business, right?
Massive.
Are you nurturing those leads and qualifying those leads before you hand them to the sales guy?
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
We do kind of make sure that these people are pretty nurtured ones. We do ask them a lot of questions even before they opt in. And once these things are nurtured, that's when we go on to give it to the sales team. And when coming to building sales teams, Lawrence, what I've seen is the reason why some business owners really fail in building sales teams. The root one is just the clash of egos. Okay, because someone who's really good in sales, they are people who have the highest ego. And until unless you don't get better in really leading those people, what exactly drives them? Because salespeople are completely different animals. You can't lead salespeople like how you lead admin and customer support people.
Are you talking about micromanaging those types of guys? You don't do that, right?
No, never. No, it's all about understanding their goals, what exactly drives them.
Yeah.
So in all our businesses, what we do is we first and foremost run a profiling test, like disc profiling.
Yep.
To really understand who they are and what really motivates them. And the second thing that we do is we get a complete vision board for them. We make sure that they come up with their personal goals and really put these personal goals in their vision board so that every time I speak with a salesperson, I know what is their personal goal, not the company goals. What really is motivating them? Do they need to send their kids to a private school? All right. Do they need to go to Disneyland? What exactly is really driving them? Okay, that's the second one.
What color do they want their first Lamborghini?
Absolutely.
That sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like their SUV, what they want to go for.
Yeah.
And the third one is we also go deeper in understanding their love languages. Like, if you know about Gary Chapman's 5 love languages. So every single salesperson in our team, we know their love languages as well. What really drives them? What really motivates them? So in this way, when we are trying to have a chat with them, we know what motivates them. Added to this, the second aspect, what I've seen, some businesses are not able to get their best ROI from sales team is incentives. Okay, when I say incentive, it's just not money and commission. It's something like where can you take them to a 5-star restaurant, like a buffet, and what kind of magical moments can you create for them? Because in sales, you just can't look at it as an expense. It's always an investment. Because if you know your numbers properly, you can have these kind of incentives and create magical moments for people where they're driven every single day.
I notice you haven't said anything about technical application yet. So if I can just ask, so talk to me about scripting. framework, right? You must have thought about that deeply and have all that in place, right, for your sales guys.
Yeah, we do have sales scripts. We do have the messaging sequence. We have a funnel as well, and different levels of follow-ups that they all need to do. But what I identified was that's just maybe around 20 or 30%. And 70% is between the ears of the salesperson. And
Psychology.
as a sales manager or as a business owner, if I can work on the 70% aspect of it, like bringing the best out of them, bringing that hunger, bringing that drive, the 30% can be taken care of. And that's what I've seen mostly.
Yeah, it's super difficult, right? So we have agents that are really focused on money, and we have some agents who are just not.
True.
You know what I mean? But they sort of have very similar attributes inside that as well. So it's sometimes very difficult to scale a sales team. I want to go back to the technical applications of marketing again, because I think some young business owners get this wrong. So you've got an advertising budget and you're advertising online, you're bringing leads, you're nurturing those leads, then passing them on to the sales team.
Yes.
I just said to the sales guys yesterday, we just started this new young sales guy. He closed 2 deals in his first day, right? Which is great, which is amazing. I said, well, when you get to 10, you might get my record, right? So, and then I said, because when I was younger, I'd work in a 44 container with 1 fluoro light and a phone book. We had no leads. We didn't have nurturing. It's because I'm 110 years old. But, back in those days, we just didn't have any of that, right? Talk to me about what you see in terms of resilience and strength of those people in the front line, because I have this mindset that they're very difficult to find. I think there were lots of them back in the day. They were all like that. They were all like knocking on doors and then you'd recruit them and they'd be super strong. Now, they seem to be suffering from a whole bunch of different elements in that space, right? Psychologically and emotionally. True. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, big time. Because for us in our company, we call them as animals.
Yeah.
Okay. The top 5 or 10% of the people who really drive your business and who take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So we have a complete game plan as to how do we nurture them, how do we keep them.
And also so you got groups of performance, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because there's always people. And to be honest with you, these people are the ones who are one of the hardest to lead and manage as well.
Yeah.
That's why most business owners are not able to lead them properly. It takes a complete different level of leadership skills to lead people who are A players, high performers.
Got it.
So with these people, there are a few common patterns I've seen, Lawrence. The first and foremost thing is they're a bit weird. All right. That they're always on the kind of a spectrum and they're also always on the go, full on hungry people. So for me, what I've seen is not to judge them or anything. Everyone is different. And I just go to their level, understand their needs, understand their problems, and how can I really help them motivate. Added to that, what we do is in our group of companies, we also have a thing called as inner circle. So when I say inner circle, the top 15%, 20% of people in our company, we provide them different benefits. So every single month, what we do is we have a training session where we invite speakers in different parts of industries as well. It can be how to raise healthy and confident kids, how to manage your money, all right, how to take care of your health, how to be fit. And these people come and give talks to only our inner circle. And we invite them for lunches. And also they have a particular budget which they can use for their emergency funds. In that way, we know that we are taking care of the top 15, 20% of the people who are really performing at the highest potential.
Give me a percentage, just rough numbers, on how much of your overall revenue for that team do those top performers generate? Give me some metrics if you can.
I think so, at least 60 to 70% of
it's
the
high,
revenue.
right?
Massive.
It's always a high number.
It's always a high number.
Yeah, so nurture those guys at the top end. Yeah. Yeah, I always see about, if you've got a team of 10, there's probably 2 or 3 that are the top performers always, who carry at least 75% of the revenue, right?
That's it.
Yeah, and you're right. You can't manage them like you do the low performers because they're just different people. Yeah, super interesting for business owners to know that. Okay, cool. So let's walk through your journey a little bit more. So you're building this business, right? It's starting to get a bit of momentum.
Yes.
Tony Robbins is still with you every step of the way, I'm assuming, right?
Good time, yeah.
And then you were saying something before we started filming about EO, right? Entrepreneurs Organization. And you joined that organization. And I think you joined a few organizations. So you're running a business and you're like, okay, hey, I need to stay on top of my game. I need to educate myself. And that's how you do that, right? Is that right?
Massively.
That's a conscious thought for you.
100%.
So I'm assuming you sit there and you plan that and look at it for the year, right? What events am I going to go to? Why am I going to those events? Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, big time. Yep. Because for me, what I've seen is, Lawrence, every time I go to an event, I come across as a different person because it's an immersive learning that happens over and over again. More importantly for me, when I go to the events, it's not just the event that I'm experiencing, it's the people I meet there. And for me, I tend to take more action when someone like Lawrence comes and tells me I'm doing this in my business and this has helped me take my business to the next level. That's when my execution level becomes more stronger. I love reading books, all right? But it's a different thing when you read a book by Tony Robbins and you somehow consciously or subconsciously try to root it out, saying that, that's Tony Robbins, he does it. Whereas when I'm knee to knee, heart to heart, having a chat with someone like you, I know that this would work for me as well. So my belief in executing that thing is way higher rather than just sitting and listening to an audiobook or just watching a video on YouTube. So that's the reason I just make sure I put myself in those situations where I'm surrounded with more people who are hungrier than me, who are going at a different level than me, so that I'm able to build a bigger business.
It's funny, right? Execution is so critical, man. Well, I think I don't know, it was a few weeks ago, some guy was saying, I listened to about 10 hours worth of podcasts and YouTube stuff every week. I said, well, that's great, man. But if you don't execute against that, that's just a simple waste of your time. Yeah. And I think people get distracted, right? They're listening to this guy, and they have two different messages, and this guy's got a different message. And then they see conflict in all of those messages. And I think sometimes they just don't do anything because of that conflict, right?
There was an amazing ratio rule that I heard a long time back. It's called as E to E ratio, like 3, E versus E ratio. Yeah. So what they were saying was almost 80 to 90% of the people spend their time in the first E, which is entertainment. Like, just doom scrolling Instagram, TikTok, or just watching Netflix, YouTube, all the cat dancing videos. That's what almost 80 to 90% of the people are doing.
Cat dancing videos. Okay. That's funny.
Yeah. But the remaining few percentage of them, they do spend a bit of time in education. So when I say education, going to seminars, listening to podcasts, listening to audio programs. But a very tiny portion of the population is spending the time in the third E, that is execution. Okay, because, and to be honest with you, I used to be that person who used to go to every seminar, every event, every notebook, because it used to just give me so much more drive and motivation. And I used to feel good, the feel good factor. All right. And
that's motivation, right? It makes you feel good.
It's feel good.
It doesn't last very long.
I'm the smartest person in the room.
It doesn't last long.
Yeah, I'm going to every seminar, I'm reading every book. But nothing much was happening in life.
Yeah.
I used to always wonder, why am I going to all these events but still not succeeding at all? Yeah. But the challenge was I was missing the last E, the execution part of it.
When did you figure that out?
For me, I was, to be honest with you, in an event as well. And one of the speaker mentioned action takers are money makers. Yeah. And money makers are action takers.
Put that on a t-shirt, kids. Yeah. Well, he's right though, right? It's all about action. Yeah, I think it's common though, dude. Look, I think most people are going to events and reading books and listening to podcasts and fucking not doing anything. Making no money, right? No. Or spending too much money and going broke. It happens all the time. I think, if I may, I think a lot of people don't want to execute and just want to knock down one level, go to the next thing, get mildly successful in it, knock that down and then go to the next thing, right?
Yeah, big time.
With the fear of really going all the way.
I've seen that happen with my own life as well. Yeah. And the reason why I was hesitating in taking action is because of the aspect of feedback. Yeah. Okay. Because when you don't take action, you don't get any feedback, which is pretty awesome place to be in. All right. You're reading all the books or you're just spending time in entertainment and you're just dabbling here and there. With that, you don't get any feedback. You're happy with it. Whereas the moment you start taking action, you start implementing, you start making things happen, you start getting feedback. That's when the inconvenience happen. But I've heard so many times, success always comes at your inconvenience. Not when you're happy, when you're comfortable and everything. That's why it's so important to do those inconvenient things often and often again.
Yeah, I think your biggest challenge is where all the opportunity lies, right? You have to be resilient enough and intelligent enough to see that, though, I think. So how many events do you go to a year on average, do you think?
I think so. Currently, I'm doing around 2 to 3 events in an year. So how I schedule my calendar in an year is make sure that there are at least 2 to 3 immersive events. When I say immersive event, it's going to be anywhere between 3 to 4 days time, where I'm completely switching off from the business and I'm in the event trying to learn, trying to implement, so that this gives us the time as well for me to think on how do I scale the business. Where we are just not in the trenches doing all the thing, because that's when your brain doesn't work much. Whereas when you're in an event, you're trying to brainstorm. You're trying to think what can be done, what can be implemented. And in that way, you will be able to come back and implement. So every time I go to an event, when I have my notebook, on the last page of the notebook, I have a thing called as actions. All right. And I just need to make sure that there are only 5 to 10 actions things over there. And sometimes while the event is going on, I try to take action because they always say that how quickly can you execute? All right. The speed of implementation matters the most. So that's how I just make sure I go to the events and take action on them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speed's so critical, man. I think people take too long to execute. You know why? Because they're perfectionists. Well, they think they are, but they're actually not. No. They're trying to get it to 100%. But I like Steve Jobs, where he says, man, just get it to 75 and let's launch, right? And then we'll figure the rest out later.
Yep. Done is always better than perfect.
Oh, 100%. You're better off launching something than nothing, right? Just get it out there. Even if it's crap, you'll figure it out. Your customer will tell you, then you'll learn and develop and be able to innovate, right? Okay, so you go into events, you're investing money and time in that, right? I have this thing about events. Like, I'm not a big fan of them, I'll be honest with you. I know they're really important for the reason is that you're separating your mindset out from your company and it's getting you to think in different ways, right? I think that separation is really difficult for founders. What else do you do to separate yourself from the business outside of the immersive sort of seminars that you go to? Is there a daily routine that you do, a weekly routine?
Yeah, I do some daily routines as well. Yeah. But long time back, I identified that sometimes has to be so much bogged down by the daily routine. Like, 1 hour of meditation, 1 hour of reading books, 1 hour of goal setting. Okay. But no shit was happening. Okay. Then I came across a particular concept called as the farm boy routine. Okay. So by the farm boy routine, what it meant was, if you look at any people who work in a farm, the first thing that they do is when they wake up is to go and feed the cows. That's the first action that they take because the cows are hungry. They haven't eaten anything throughout the entire night. So they get the most important task done as soon as they wake up. So when I learned about this particular farm boy routine, I really started implementing it. As soon as I
do the hardest task first.
Absolutely. Like eat that frog as well.
So I've heard that term before, eat that frog. I don't know what that book is, but I've heard it before.
Yeah, exactly. So as soon as you wake up, like after you finish a few things, washing your face and brushing your teeth, within the first 1 hour, trying to do the most hardest thing. And once you get that done, maybe later focus on your other routines. Like you want to work out, you want to meditate, you want to do an ice bath, whatever you want to do has a bigger impact.
Talk to me about your daily routine then. Like, what does your day-to-day on a common ground look like for you? Like the average day?
100%. For me, I'm a really believer in planning a lot because there are always like 5 P's to planning. They say proper prior planning prevents piss poor execution. All right. So I just make sure I spend a bit more. You know what?
You're a learner of a learner, man. You are, right? What I notice about you is that you find things that resonate and work for you psychologically and personally, and then you onboard them. Because you say a lot of things that are actually that you've read in books that you've resonated with. Like when you first figured out this whole entrepreneur thing, there was a statement in that book that says, I don't have to do well at school to earn money and be an entrepreneur. So you've carried that through the last 10 years, right? You have all these little statements. I don't know if you know this, but you say these things, and I've heard some of these things before. So there's certain elements and statements in your life that you hear that you really cement deeply in your psychology. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I could see that. The reason being, Lawrence, it's a repetition.
Yeah.
I think so. Even every time I drive, I use it as a net time. Okay, so every day I'm spending at least 2 to 3 hours listening about these things for a long time. It's been 10 years. And even while I was in a job way back in India, we used to commute for 4 hours. And every time I used to commute, I used to finish an audio.
4 hours?
Yeah, 4 hours. It's crazy traffic over there.
Man.
So yeah, that was my university on wheels.
Yeah.
So right now it has reached an automation point. These things just keep popping out of it.
Yeah. Anyway, that was interesting. So let's go back to your daily routine.
Yep. So daily routine is I just make sure the daily routine always starts the night before.
Yep.
And I just make sure I watch my calendar, what exactly are the most important thing that needs to be done for the next day morning, and just set up the alarm, because I even set up an alarm for my sleep time. Because that's so important that I sleep and have a good routine sleep. Okay, then I'm very refreshed and I'm very energized.
How many hours do you go for?
I go for anywhere between 7 to 8 hours for 5 days a week. For 2 days a week, I tend to sleep just 6.5 hours. So in that way, I'm able to get a lot of work done on those 2 days in the morning. But the other 5 days, I'm able to still sleep, have a good amount of sleep.
So what time are you going to bed?
I usually go to bed between 10:30.
Yep. Cool. And so you're getting up at around 6 a.m.?
Yeah, some days 6 a.m., some days 5 a.m. All right. At least 5 days a week, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning. And as soon as I wake up, I just make sure that I jump on my personal trainer. I have a personal trainer in Turkey. All right. I just outsource that as well. So all I need to do is jump on a Zoom link that he sends me in the morning. He already has prepared the workout routine for me. And all I need to do is, just jump in over there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and just finish that workout like a high intensity interval training between 30 to 45 minutes. And then...
so you do that straight away?
Sometimes I do straight away, a few days of the week. And a few days of the week, I try to eliminate the most important task. Okay, so I work out 4 days a week. So during those days, I do that first. The other days when I don't work out, the 3 days, I make sure that I nail those tasks. Like using that farm by routine.
Go to the hardest task first. Okay,
first.
Cool. All right. Then once you've done your workout and you're all settled, is it in the office?
No, I'll just make sure in the home itself. I just meditate. I use the Calm app most of the time. And make sure I listen to 10 minutes of meditation.
Every day?
Every day. Every single day.
7 days a week or
7 days a week?
7 days a week.
7 days a week. Most of the times I even try to do transcendental meditation because that has had a really big impact on me. To be honest with you, with just talking about meditation, there are so many different forms of meditation I've tried. But the weirdest one was the Vipassana one. Where you go to a 10-day silent retreat and meditate for 10 days.
Man, that's crazy.
Without any mobiles. That's a crazy different experience. But it's not easy to implement, to meditate for 1 hour, 2 times a day. I couldn't do that. Whereas using a Calm app or even transcendental meditation has worked really best for me. Once I do that, I have my diary where I write down my goals in present tense.
Can I ask you, with meditation, right? I find this super interesting. Why do you do it?
For me, the biggest reason why I do that is it gives me the time to go deeper into my thoughts. Usually, once the day starts in the morning, it's go mode. Whereas those 10 or 20 minutes is where I find inner peace in me. Right? And it might not be for everyone. I know so many people who are still high performers, they don't meditate. But you just need to understand, what do you like? With my personality.
What works for you personally.
Exactly. What works for you.
So do you think it settles you for the day?
Massively. And it just gives me that blissful state. That if I have done this thing for 15-20 minutes, I'm just so much more peaceful. I'm just so much more calmer. And I can really execute on bigger things. I find that super interesting. I know people who do it and it really works for them. I've tried it. It didn't really work for me. Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't feel like I need it, but I'm super intrigued by it because
it's different for different people. And sometimes, you know what, you might have to try different forms of meditation to find your flavor.
I guess it comes in many different forms, right? So you've got to find the right one. Yeah, cool.
Exactly.
All right, so carry on. This is super interesting. So
right after I meditate, I just take down my journal. Because journal writing is another thing that really fulfills me. And I start with the 3 wins I have had in the previous day. So what are the 3 things that I have already done? Because they always say that you need to build on success. You can't build on failure or what's not working. And once that happens, the second thing is 3 things I can improve or get better. So I can start seeing a pattern.
You do that every day?
Yeah, every single day.
Wow, you are so disciplined.
Well,
that requires discipline, right, to do that.
Yeah, big time.
No one ever writes down their wins from the previous day, man. True. And that's very rare.
Yeah, because it just builds that rewiring in your brain.
Did you get that from Tony? Is that a Tony thing?
I don't know who I kind of looked at it.
I think it might be a Tony thing.
A lot of things. People were talking about it.
Yeah.
And then the third thing which I write down is 5 things I'm really grateful for. It can be very small things like filtered water. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we
And
love
maybe
filtered
bigger
water.
things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And bigger things as well. Like, my family that are around me, the food I'm able to eat, like the people I'm able to meet that day. So those kind of 5 things I'm able to be grateful for. And then the last thing is around 3 to 4 goals that I need to work for and execute in the short term as well as in the long term.
Why are you writing down things to be grateful for?
For me, the biggest thing is I'm a firm believer that you need to really be grateful for as many things as possible in your life, because whatever you appreciate appreciates. And you just can't always keep thinking about what's not working, why is my life so disastrous, because that's what you attract in your life.
So are you saying you think that's about balance?
100%.
Yeah.
I believe that I need to be always blissfully dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Okay?
I understand that. Yeah.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
And then the more I write down goals as well, I can see that it becomes a part of me. And every time I write down my goals, I even repeat that goal to me often every day. And I run my hand on that goal so that it becomes more real for me.
Do you think without gratitude, success is attainable?
I don't think so. For me personally, I don't think so. It's not achievable, because the more blissful, the more thankful you are for whatever you have, you tend to attract that kind of an abundance in your life as well.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I think that's good. I think people don't have enough gratitude these days. I think people complain too much and they don't really think about what they should be thankful for. And I think that affects them and they don't see it.
And it's more being conscious of it, because how our human brain is programmed is because we need to look for the negative things. Because we come from a species that survived hundreds and thousands of years ago, right? There might be a saber-toothed tiger or there might be something coming. So that's why we tend to, without aware of it, unconsciously, we tend to focus on the negative, what's not working so much more.
Well, our brain's
easy.
designed to protect us, right?
Absolutely.
It's designed to say no. You have to, you have to re-engineer it. Cool, man. You do a lot in the morning. Like that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you're hyper organized. You must be hyper organized, and because that requires a lot of commitment to do that with consistency, right? So okay, so you've done all that. You've done all your journaling. You've highlighted your gratitude and other things. Then how does your day begin?
I just make a list of around big 5 for that day.
Big 5 for the day.
Yeah, 5 things that must happen no matter what. And sometimes I even write down the consequences. Why am I doing it? Because they always say that if you have a big enough why, the how becomes so much more easier. So I just need to revisit the why. Why am I doing this? What needs to happen? And once I have this, it becomes so much more easier. And for me, once my day is completed on paper, that's when it becomes more possible. It gives me that hope and that certainty that I can execute. And more importantly, Lawrence, what I can see that is once I have that clarity and focus, I am not distracted by other small things. I still do. All right, we're all humans. There are some kind of firefighting you still need to do, but it'll bring back that focus. Okay, these are the 5 big wins that I need to have no matter what happens.
We have a saying in this company, right, which I started, and it's called "We kill the unicorns," because everyone's chasing unicorns all day. You know what I mean? And what that means is they're distracted from what our initial corporate goal is, right, or company goal is, or personal goal is, or divisional goal. Because people love admin, man. They just tend to veer off track all the time, and because they don't want to do the hard thing first. They want to do the hard stuff last. They find other things to do in the time being to distract them. And then they feel like they're being really, really busy and being productive. In actual fact, they're not getting anywhere.
You're so true, because they say currently in this particular era, the number 1 highest paid skill in the world is to be indistractable.
Yeah.
All right. How much can you focus? That's the most important thing, because there's a big
focus.
There's a notification here and there. The more you tend to work on your focus, the more easier to achieve success in it.
Well, leaders need to be attuned to it, right, and identify and be able to manage their staff on it and get them refocused, which I call killing the unicorns, right? Slay those. I'm a unicorn slayer, like walking around stopping people from going there and when they should be going this way, right? Cool. So you're hyper focused on the key things that matter, say 3, 4, 5 a day. I'm assuming that's attached to your annual goal or target. Yeah.
Annual
and then
goals,
you break it down into like quarters, and is that what you do? And then into months and Cool. So you're making phone calls, you're having virtual meetings, you're flying to events, you're doing all these sorts of things. You've got a team who are selling. You've got the marketing agency. Do you use an agency or is it
we do everything internally as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool.
That's what has been happening. But a lot of things have changed in the business as well. Just to give you an overview of it. Because what happened was 2.5 years ago, we got recognized as one of the 100 fastest growing companies through AFR, Australian Financial Review. And that really opened up a lot of opportunities for us. That's when people started asking us about how did you grow the business? What did you do? And that's when we had to modify our business plan as well in helping people build remote teams. We could clearly see that there were a lot of businesses who were having challenges in building high-performance remote teams. So that's where most of our focus is going right now, where we are trying to mentor business owners, mentor business leaders on how to build that high-performance remote team that can really increase business owners' profitability and also take more time off from their work. So that's where most of my time is going as well these days.
So are you talking about offshoring or are you talking about domestic?
It's more about offshoring as well. Because again, it's just not offshoring, where you can even supplement your current internal team, your leadership team, and make sure they get the support, they get the help from the remote team. And in this way, people are able to work on higher priority tasks, especially those people who are in the leadership and management team. They are not doing just $14, $15 tasks. All right. They're really working on high revenue generating activities.
I'm going to pivot for one question, right? Something I just realized about you. So your business partner, Reg, right? Yeah. Would you have done all of this on your own? Or do you think having the business partner is probably what also helped you to achieve some of these?
Yeah, for me, I completely believe that there's got to be a partnership. There's got to be a collaboration. But having said that, you just can't collaborate with anyone. Okay, you need to have similar values, but at the same time, different personalities. Okay, and with Regin, he's more of a bigger thinker. All right, he just keeps executing on it. And with my personality, I just go a bit more into the details, the analytical aspect of it, and take care of the operations as well. So if you look at any big companies, there's always an yin and the yang. So I don't think so we would have gone so big so fast without having a business partner. So I'm just so grateful that I was able to meet him. Not only that, we still have a few arguments, which always happen in any kind of partnerships or relationship. The most important thing is understanding what really drives the other person. And the most important one is the mutual respect, that we both are going to the same vision. We both have the same mission, and we are heading over there.
Yeah, interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit if we can. So you guys met at an event, you sort of knew each other, and then you made a determination that, hey, I think we could work well together. Let's start a company. You did that. Yep. You just said that you fight as well. Talk to me about that. Like, how do you guys manage that inside the business, right? That I find that super interesting because you have to be very candid with each other and honest with each other. Yep. So how do you guys handle that? And what do you do?
For us, it's more about than a fight. It's a disagreement. Yeah. Okay. And we always believe that if you have anything, it's always better to communicate openly. And having said that, we also manage our own project management. So beginning of every month, Regin has certain things that he commits that he's going to get that done. And I commit to a certain things that I get done.
Okay.
And every often time we communicate with each other that do we need any other help? And one more thing that has really helped us in the last 3 years, Lawrence, is having a mentor, having a person in a boardroom as well, where just yesterday we were with this particular board member and a mentor for 4 hours discussing the entire business. So there's a middleman as well who's trying to help us understand where we are going, what we are doing. Yeah. So in this way, we are able to communicate, have that clarity in the vision as well. And the most important thing to understand is we both are growing together. And that's the reason why we both go to the same events together as well. We grow together. And we also try to communicate to the team that we have unity. And the team knows that. We both are here for each other and we want to grow and we want to succeed together.
Talk to me about unity. What do you mean exactly? You said the team see that we have unity. Obviously, that means that you're on the same page, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of communication, is that what you're referring to as well?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And also cross-edifying each other.
Yeah.
When I say edifying, when Regin is not there, all right, I try to tell the team as well what he is doing, okay, why he is qualified to do that, and what are his credentials, and why he has the best interest for you to succeed.
You got to have each other's back, man.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%. That's what we've been like business partners for almost 9-10 years at the moment. And I'm pretty sure that we will be able to take the businesses to completely new level.
Yeah, that's really important. I had a lesson in my business career where I had a business partner, and I think I could have been a better business partner to him. You know, yes, he did something wrong, but and it could potentially have been faithful to the company, and I was pretty hard on him. And
I love how you took the ownership, Lawrence. Yeah,
you know,
and that's a really crucial thing in business partnerships as well.
Yeah.
Okay, taking ownership. All right, where I need to tell myself, and this is the same thing with Regin as well. He believes so much in extreme ownership. All right, no blaming, no complaining.
Yeah.
If it's to be, it's up to me.
Yeah,
and
Jocko
sometimes,
Willink, right? Extreme ownership.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes there are times where I'm going a bit low, whereas he's in a higher energy state. Whereas sometimes he might be a little bit going somewhere, whereas I'm in a higher energetic state. So in that way, we are able to push each other up. And that's how it helps
it's super important for a successful relationship, right? You got to be candid, and everyone's got to understand that. The team need to see that you guys are unified and you have each other's back, and you have that loyalty to each other. And you know, people make mistakes, right? It's okay, 100%. Man. No one's going to die. Let's get over it. But yeah, I pushed pretty hard on this guy, and I think I broke him because I can be a pretty hard man, and I probably could have been more empathetic. So I've been trying to learn empathy.
True.
To be more empathetic, right? I think that's important for me to learn at the stage of the game. But as we scale a company, you know, and we're running to 50 right now, so we're trying to, man, how do I do that and not shake people and drive people too hard and take them on a bit of a journey, right? It's very difficult. Cool. Well, I'm glad you found a Reg, because I think that's amazing, man. When you can find the right partner, I think, because it's lonely at the top, man.
True.
100%. Like when you're the CEO and the founder and you're the only one. I find guys don't necessarily pivot and talk to their wives about it or their family, and their wives and their family don't really know what to say to them anyway. Are you married?
Yeah, I'm married. I've been married for 5 years now.
Right. Well, congratulations. So do you talk to your wife about your business? How does that?
Yeah, I do talk to her.
Is she involved in the business?
Yeah, sometimes. No, not exactly like, in the operations of the business.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, she's my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
Right. And every time, sometimes I might be thinking a bit lower.
Yeah.
Whereas she's the one who's like, no, you got to 10x your goals. And I'm like, wow, okay. That's where did that come from? Because she's like, okay, you got to go for bigger things.
So she's pushing you.
Yeah, she is. Like, and she just keeps moving me. And she's like, every time, even for building my own personal brand. Yeah. She did play a really big role over there. And she's like, okay,
she pushed you to do that.
Yeah, wow, she used to. And because for me, I was like, nah, I'm just going to build business. I don't want to put myself out there. Yeah. And she was more of the social media person. Yeah. All right, taking all the Instagram pictures, Facebook pictures. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it's such a distraction all the time.
Yeah. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's awesome. Let's talk about that a little bit. I find that pretty interesting. So, how long have you known her? And I know you've been married for 5 years, but have you known her for longer than that? Or?
Yeah. I've been known her for almost 6 years now. Yeah. And I met her through one of my
So 1
friends.
year and then you guys got married?
Yeah, close to that. Wow. 1.5 years. Around that time we got married because she was my university closest friend's sister.
Oh, okay.
And then, she...
Monash, right?
Yeah, Monash University. Yeah. And that's how our relationship started.
Yeah, right. And what does she do?
She currently manages most of our investments. Yeah. Like, she takes care of that particular aspect of our life. Yeah. And also she manages the entire aspects of the house. I don't even know how to cook anything. Zero.
Yeah, you sound
all right. So she's the CEO of the house, and also she takes care of
important
most of
job, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And all of the investment, rental properties, property development, all those aspects are handled by her.
Yeah, cool. Do you guys have children?
No, not yet.
Yeah. Oh, not yet. Hey, it's coming. Yeah. Oh, that's great. You should have kids. Kids are awesome. I just want to hover on this a little bit. I think entrepreneurs struggle with this, right? Finding the partner that supports their journey. I think they get into two heads about it. Because I hear some of the young kids say, and I think I've got about 3 or 4 coaching sessions coming up, and one of them wanted to talk about relationships. Now, I'm not a relationship expert by any means. But I just said, mate, just read a Tony Robbins book, you'll be fine. But so how important is it to you that she's like that? Like that she drives you, so when you're down, she picks you up. I'm assuming that's everything, dude.
Yeah, massive, because this is something which I've learned about having a home advantage. They call it as a home fair advantage. Because if your family life is ruined or it's always in a mess, you might not be able to focus on your business. It's so much more harder. So that's the reason I have a few routines in family as well. I make sure I spend between 30 to 45 minutes every single day with my wife. All right, it can be in the nighttime, having a quick walk, discussing what exactly is happening, where are we going in the life, what needs to happen, and also making sure we do take staycations as well, often, so that we can go out, think about where we're going in family, what needs to happen, and what can we build together, and also having that mutual respect, Lawrence, that has played a really big role, and having that values. Because my values are different sometimes. It's more towards business, all right, learning and other things. Her values are more towards family, health, like, organic food, those kind of things. So I need to think about how can I meet her values as well, all right, so that I can support her. And in relationship, it's always 100% my responsibility. How can I over-deliver? How can I add value? The more I start thinking about it, it becomes so much of an easier journey.
So you see the relationship like your business, that it's your responsibility.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to be the one who need to lead. I need to be the one who to take action. And I need to make things happen.
Yeah. That's great, man, that you have that mindset and that you see it like that. I think some of the young guys struggle with, they've got the young girlfriend or the young wife. She sometimes pulls them down a little bit, doesn't really support them, and one of them asked me, what do you think I should do about that? I said, well, it's really hard for me to comment on that, right? Like, because I don't know who she is, how you met and what the circumstances are. Because one thing I know about entrepreneurs is that sometimes it's all about them and they don't see anybody else around them, right? So they can be quite selfish. So it's very difficult. I think it's really important to get that right. Tony 100%. Talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
Like he screwed up. You know what I mean? And tried and figured it out and hopefully got it right this time. Cool. I want to ask you a couple of questions about a couple of things, right? Sure. I'll just pause for a sec. Is there anything that you want to speak about in particular? Do you want to?
Maybe a little bit more about the initial struggles of business owners who are struggling to scale.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially having a team.
Yeah.
And overcoming their mindset challenges. Like I can see that most entrepreneurs need that, especially because this is about business beats.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct,
so maybe I can share my own challenges.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So talk to me about the challenges of what young entrepreneurs face in scaling their business, because they all want to scale their business, right? They want to go from here to here. Walk me through some of the steps that you think can help them get from A to B.
For me, the biggest one is honing on your leadership and team building skills. The more you start working on it, it's more fulfilling as well. In my own journey, sometimes I used to think that bigger the team, it's always more problems. All right, scales create problems. That was my old limiting belief. But now I can see that it need not be like that. You can have an amazing team who come to work, who love the work that they are doing. It all comes down to building that high performance culture. Lawrence, and I can see that you're doing an amazing job over here. I love the culture you have built, and most people miss out on building this culture. Okay, and they just think that I'm happy being in one-man army, which is fine. All right, each to their own. But I believe that you can have.
Hey, Tim Ferriss. Every time someone says one-man army or solopreneur, I think it's Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, 100%.
Working 4 hours a week in his beautiful apartment, I'm sure. Anyway, sorry, Tim. Carry on.
Yeah, so that's good. If you have a one-man army mindset, that's all good. But I believe that you can have a bigger impact if you can really challenge your beliefs. You can really challenge your perceptions. There are so many amazing things that are available.
So culture is difficult, right? And I hear that, and that resonates with me a lot. I struggle with it sometimes, and I think a lot of business owners do. Like, what's some advice you could provide to someone to, build that culture and identify what it should be, I guess?
For me, the culture begins with the founder, where you have to be really serious about building that amazing fun culture that people would like to come to work. And the basis of it is having your company values. All right. So we have a few company values that everyone can relate to it. And they make sure they stick to these values, both on a customer side as well as on our internal team side. And on top of this, we also have a lot of company rituals and rhythms. And the book that really helped me build this was Scaling Up by Verne Harnish and also Rockefeller Habits. So these two books really helped us build the rhythms and rituals. Because when people tend to come to work, they like to be a part of a routine. It's so much more predictable.
A routine.
A routine, yeah. Because if they don't feel that there's a routine, it builds a lot of uncertainty in the business. And they're like, oh my God, where am I going? What's happening? Because people like that rhythm.
It's hard in startup though, isn't it? You know, when the startups, you've got to do multiple things at once. It's hard to establish that culture in a team that has to do 10 different things every day, all the time, round in circles, right? Difficult.
And another important aspect of building that culture I have seen in our own businesses is I call it as RAE. That stands for recognition, appreciation, and encouragement.
Yeah.
So us as leaders and also the leadership team, we need to promote this often. How much can we promote RAE? How much can we recognize people? How much can we appreciate them? How much can we encourage them? Because that's one of the most hardest things in human behavior. Because we all need more encouragement. We all need more appreciation. So what we do is, as a part of our monthly town hall meeting, we spend almost 40 to 50%.
Is that what you call it, a monthly town hall meeting?
Monthly town hall meeting. The first day of every month,
Yeah.
the entire company catches up for an hour on Zoom, and all we are trying to do is build people. What are the people's achievements? What did they do? Like the personal best someone has had. And the entire company cheers those people. In that way, they know that there's a positive environment created for people.
What about scaling? Okay, so you're trying to get from 10 to 20, say, right? 2x the company. You've got a team, you got 20, 30 staff. Talk to me about how a company would apply, like because you got to have new processes and systems, right, to accommodate 2xing something. How do you see that, and what's some advice you could provide to people in that space?
Yeah, for me, as I discussed, one of the biggest books that really helped us was the Scaling Up book by Verne Harnish, where they've broken down into 4 different pillars. Strategy, execution, people, and cash. So where we tend to work on one of those pillars every 3 months. And in that way, we can make sure that we are growing and scaling profitably, but also understanding that when you are scaling, when you're building, things are going to crack. All right, there will be cash flow issues, and it's fine. You know, these are all the teething problems while growing and scaling. And I've seen some entrepreneurs get stuck over there. They're like, as soon as they see a hurdle or a challenge, whoa, scaling is not for me. I can't do that. Whereas when you understand that these are all the inherent parts of scaling, and you know that no matter what, we'll just keep pushing ahead. And having that belief that, I will be able to scale, I'll be able to reach that next level is so crucial.
There's a technical component to that as well. So how would they handle the changes in policy, the changes in IT, the changes in SaaS platforms, right? As you guys scaled, right, you scaled quite quickly, do you bring in consultants? Like, do you do it yourself? Like, how did you guys manage that?
Yeah, massively. We rely a lot on consultants as well. So what we do is we either get them to make sure they come and manage our systems, all right? And also have a chat with our leadership team. Because right now as well, we are going through that challenge because our CRM has reached a limit. And from the last 3 weeks, we are working with our CRM consultant. And the most important aspect is the change management of it, where not everyone is on board. And really communicating it to the team, what's in it for them. When we scale, when we grow, when we bring in these new systems, how will it really benefit? Because people are so happy just doing the stuff as they are. But when we start communicating how important change is to the business, it just makes so much more easier. And every time I can see that when we scale, the systems break, the systems crack. Okay, but that's fine. We would be able to fix it, get the external consultants, get your leadership team on board, and making sure that we are able to communicate to people very clearly how will it benefit them, how will it make their things so much more easier is really vital.
Planning and strategy, right?
Yeah.
And I think strategy is so critical to get right. And execution of the strategy is more important. Talk to me about AI. What are you doing in that space? Anything?
Oh, massively.
Awesome.
We are implementing some really cool stuff in AI as well. So one quick example of how we used AI is to beef up our offer.
Yeah.
So some of the students in one of our businesses, when they come and try to do a course with us, what we currently are offering them is a customized cover letter and a resume that can pass through most of the application tracking softwares. And usually it used to take us like 2 or 3 hours to create this really awesome, gorgeous resume.
How long does it take you now?
5 minutes.
Wow.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah, crazy.
Awesome.
And this is just one implementation that we are going ahead with it. And currently we are trying to include a lot of AI chatbots. Currently that's in the development process so that we can really get qualified booked meetings for our team members.
Yeah, I love it, man. I keep saying to everyone I interview, man, like if you're not on it, you're going to be in trouble.
Big time.
5's coming out soon too, which is great. So what's the future for the company? What's next?
For us, the biggest one, Lawrence, where we are focused is in the next 5 years, we want to impact at least 500 business owners. Really overcome the challenges of scaling, the challenges of building a team, all right, overcoming their own mindset belief so that they can really realize their highest potential. The more I tend to work on the business owners, I believe that it has a cascading and a ripple effect. It's like a domino. Because business owners are people who take the courage, who take the risks and everything and make it happen. And the more I'm able to work with them, the more I'm able to mentor them, I can see that the impact is going to be so much more bigger.
That's awesome. So mentorship, probably taking a couple of board positions on that to help those companies scale, plus providing them with the services, right?
Yeah.
So the outsourced services to support their local teams to build those companies.
Yeah.
So would you be doing policies and system upgrades and helping them? Because you could plug them into all those types of services as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do that.
For me, I'm trying to share what we have done with regards to the leadership, team building and culture aspect of it. Because I can see that that's what most businesses need sometimes. But what we feel is we just need sales and marketing. Because it's easier to sell sales and marketing. It's easier to work on that. But to really have a scale, you need to get really good at building a team, working on your leadership, because that might sound a bit more boring, all right? And also the non-sexy part of the business, whereas sales and marketing is so sexy. Everyone likes to work on it. But to be honest with you, everyone is in a people business. They always say that your product is not the product, your product is your people in a business. So the more we are able to work on it and get better at it, we'll be able to have a bigger impact.
Yeah, I've got, this the new psychology of society. I'm trying to analyze and navigate. Right, it's like I think people aren't as robust and as strong as what they used to be. And I have this theory of, and Tony has this theory as well, is that strong people create good times creates weak people. And that cycle goes around, right? I'm a firm believer in that. And I think we're in just one of those cycles where it's not as strong as probably what it used to, which is really hard to scale a business without being able to find the attitude, the mindset, and the talent in that strong cycle. What do you think of that? Do you think that's real, or do you think that maybe business owners and founders and entrepreneurs need to probably be more empathetic and change?
For me, I still believe that there's a lot to be done on the empathetic aspect of it, because that's what people are craving.
Yeah,
they always are saying, try to understand me. And I internally totally believe that most people are doing their best to succeed. Okay. And then we never know what's happening in their life. All right. Someone might be going through a divorce. Someone might be going through a terminal illness. Whereas when we are trying to connect on a deeper level, there's some magical moments that start appearing. And I believe humans are pretty intuitive. They know that if you're trying to do things for something else, for your own benefit, you won't be able to really lead them. Whereas when you're empathetic and when you're trying to do things for the benefit of them, there's a bigger impact you can have.
Yeah, empathy's hard, right? I think for business owners, because we're engineered a certain way. We get hit and we just get up and we just keep running, right? And I think when staff get hit, maybe we need to be a little bit more empathetic and understanding towards what they're experiencing. I think that's important.
And I can relate to that, Lawrence, because the reason is because we are always on the go, go, go mode.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's so hard to switch back from that go, go, go mode.
Yeah.
And sit with your team members, having that chat, understand what they're going. through. And most of the breakthroughs in our businesses happen in that way, where we are trying to relate to their problems and challenges and genuinely helping them succeed personally. That's where the breakthrough happens.
I think I'm going to walk around the business this afternoon and ask everyone how they're going personally. Why not? I haven't done that for a while. I would normally do that. Hey, I want to thank you for your time, man. It's really good to talk to you. There's some amazing things about you, by the way, that you use a lot of acronyms. That's one thing. And the one thing what I'm attaching that to is that you are a student of learning. Because when you speak, you say things so deeply about what you've learned previously that it's so ingrained in your personality. I find that pretty inspiring and pretty amazing. But I just want to say thank you. Really good to talk to you.
Thank you so much. It's so good to come here as well. I love the podcast.
Right,
thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into Business Beats Podcast today. Look, we hope you enjoyed the episode as much as we enjoyed putting it together for you. Every story we share and every conversation we have, it's all part of a bigger picture. Connecting with you, our listener, and pushing out value. That's what we're here for. If you like what you heard today and want to be part of our growing community, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing not only gives you automatic updates for new episodes, but also access to other cool stuff. Soon to be released books, courses, and more. Your engagement truly makes a difference, and we sincerely appreciate it.